Hi, welcome back to State of Flux, where we are unpacking the conclusion to Zack Snyder's Justice League. My previous video, which ran for 36 minutes, had me droning on so long that I actually wiped out the end of my memory card, which is why it stops very abruptly. So I didn't get to unpack the ending. However, I did end that video with the true end of the movie, as it was probably intended in the theatrical release, with that post-credit Lex Luthor thing to hang at the actual post-credits. This film has multiple endings. You have the Batman, Superman, making friends, buying the farm ending. You have the emotional conclusion with Cyborg, and then it goes a step further. You get the same scene with Lex Luthor, except rather than him just being like, we should create a league of our own, he is just not a good fit for this. I stand by the fact that I think Jesse Eisenberg would have made a good Riddler, but he just does not sell it as Lex Luthor. In this version, instead of that, he just reveals that he knows the identity of Batman. This is something that bothered me in Batman vs. Superman, the fact that Batman is not the one, the ultimate detective figuring everything out. It's Lex Luthor, and Batman just steals what Lex Luthor has already known, or whatever, yeah. So then this film then continues on for about 15 more minutes, where we get a vision into the future. This is the final nightmare, if you will, where it's revealed that Batman, Mara, Deathstroke, Cyborg, and the Flash are the last surviving members of this incarnation of the Justice League. The world is a desolate wasteland, and they discover the Joker sitting on a car, and they have Batman and Joker have a little conversation, wherein this is all going to be spoilers. I think I'm going to put that at the head of the title. But anyway, Batman and Joker have a little talk fest. Find out that Harley Quinn's dying wish was that Batman kill the Joker slowly. Batman drops an F-bomb, and then Batman reluctantly agrees to team up with the Joker, and then all of a sudden, Superman drops down and gets ready for his laser vision, and then credits. Except it's not credits, it's Batman waking up and walking around, still having these dreams. The biggest reason this bothered me, not only because Jared Leto just does not sell it as the Joker. I've never been a huge Jared Leto fan. Leto, Homeboy just does not do it for me. He acted like James Franco in Spring Breakers during Suicide Squad, kind of adopted that look, and then trickled in a little bit of Ace Ventura in there. He kind of continues that on with this, but then also kind of does his own Pennywise as well. I don't know. I feel like he's doing interpretations of what other people have done instead of making it his own. You can't really say that Joaquin Phoenix or Heath Ledger adopted really anybody else's style. I suppose Heath Ledger did a little Tom Waitsiness there, but they did their own thing, and it felt new and on a cinematic level. Jack Nicholson just did his Shining over again. Mark Hamill just kills it every time with that voice work. Leto doesn't do it for me. As written, the character just doesn't seem to work. He just comes off like a scuzzball instead of this super amazing crime lord and force of chaos that the Joker is. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so the biggest problem with this isn't even the Joker of it all, or the fact that half the Justice League is revealed to have been killed, or certainly anyway, from the one vision that you get earlier in the film, Wonder Woman is dead in a casket, and then Aquaman is revealed to be dead, which gives Mera a vengeance journey. The biggest issue is that the whole theme of the film for the character of Batman is the idea of faith. He saw Superman as a villain in the entirety of Batman vs. Superman until the Martha moment, and then Superman's death gives Batman faith, continuing with the whole Jesus allegory. His subsequent rebirth is all built on Batman's faith and belief that he is the true savior. Then you have these nightmares that completely shake the foundation that these films are meant to stand on. And it just does not work. The film ends with a shattering of the core theme of this movie. Subsequently just follows it up with him waking up from this dream, walking around. And the one thing I didn't get into my previous review, I kind of held it for here, is Martian Manhunter descends down and has a little moment with Bruce Wayne. And it's revealed that Martian Manhunter is Henry Lennox, who played the military dude in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. And this is also a huge problematic moment. His reveal in this film comes a couple hours earlier, where he is talking, well, it's Martha and Lois Lane talking. This is them sharing a moment together. They're each other's confidants. They're the only ones who know about Superman and everything that he did and represent, and they share that moment. And you see, in a kind of poignant moment, that those are the only two characters that can really do that with each other over this. Which is fine. It's a sweet moment, completely undercut when Martha leaves the room to reveal that she's actually Martian Manhunter, and it was the dude from the previous movies, as I just mentioned. But Lois and Martha talk, right? So at some point, Martha would find out that Lois thinks that she's hanging out with Martha, but isn't. Like that, I'm gonna just throw that to the wind. Pitch it to the wind. The bigger problem is the fact that that character is Martian Manhunter, because it undercuts Superman or Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Okay, sure, Man of Steel. I'll give it to him. He's in secret hiding. He's the Martian Manhunter on Earth. Doesn't want to reveal himself. This extraordinary human being that this whole movie is about comes down, but then so descends Zod. This army breaks out. He doesn't know, and he doesn't want to reveal himself. You'd think he would want to fight for the side of good and try to stop maybe all the Kryptons, including Superman, Kryptonians. But no. Let's just say that movie plays out. At the end of that movie, he trusts Superman. So you'd think that would be the iconic time to reveal yourself. Hey, I'm Martian Manhunter. We should start a team, a league of our own, if you will. Except not those dialogues. Okay, let's just forgive that. Let's just focus on Batman vs. Superman then. That character is still pretty prominent in Batman vs. Superman. And surely, by the end of the film, when the Trinity unites to take on Doomsday, and that dude is watching and relaying information to the president, if memory serves. It's been a couple years since I've seen Batman vs. Superman, but he's on the phone with the president, detailing what's going on and watching kind of from above this big battle that's ensuing, and that Superman is about to die, or then in fact does die. How come he doesn't reveal himself in that moment? Why does he not contribute? Why does he not contribute in this film once he makes the reveal to the audience that this is the Martian Manhunter? This is in there just for fan service. Fans decided that he wouldn't it be cool if he was. So Zack Snyder was like, yeah, that was always the plan. That was never the plan. Never. And that's one of the bigger problems with this film, is that this film is marketed as Zack Snyder's Justice League. Which is certainly true. This is the Snyder Cut. This is the assembly cut put together and given to us with cleaned up special effects, polished special effects, some of which aren't finished. I'm not going to complain about poor special effects in this film because you only needed $70 million to complete the unfinished assembly cut. But that said, he does things in this film that I don't think were ever part of the narrative. Henry Lennox said in an interview that he didn't find out that he was that character until this past October. So certainly that scene between Martha and Lois was never intended to end with him being that character. or her being Martian Manhunter in that scene. This is, if anything, Fan Cut the movie. And so it is a little mixed bag. Like, if we are getting a filmmaker's complete vision untouched by any form of studio interference, that's fine. And I appreciate the movement that this made, especially considering the tragedy that struck Zack Snyder. But I do also have a problem with the core concept of this. And this isn't the first movie to do this. We recently had Godfather 3, where the auteur came back and gave his definitive version of Godfather 3. This dates back all the way to Richard Donner's Superman, which I think is a vastly superior film to the Richard Lester Superman 2 that we got. The Donner cut has its own problem with the final conclusion because he only filmed 75%. This is a little unique, where supposedly this entire film had been done and just like little reshoots needed to be scheduled and done, and that's what Whedon came in and did, and then truncated the film from 4 hours to 2. Much to the chagrin of the audience that was clamoring for it. But I do have a problem with fandom guiding narrative, because when you get fandoms who want to write or rewrite movies, you end up with Star Wars. Star Wars is a broken franchise at this moment. The feature films are all over the place. Like, the first 6 are relatively consistent. There's infighting between prequel folk and original trilogy folk that I'm not going to get into, but certainly the Disney movies and Disney's ownership of that has been vitriolic, to say the least. You have a fanboy movie of Force Awakens that's just there to course correct the supposed problems of the prequels, but is creatively bereft of any new ideas movie. You have The Last Jedi that people don't like the word subversive and use that against the movie, and people who like that. But if you watch the very first Star Wars movie, as it was in 1977, that movie was subversive. Nobody had ever seen anything like that, ever. And to prove that point, just watch the first 20 minutes. You don't have your main character. The first 20 minutes of that movie, you follow like a scroll. You follow these 2 droids. You see a human, she's taken out immediately from the story. You're continuing to follow these. Then you get like Jawas, and you're like, oh, maybe these are the people. You're left like with constant subversion of what your standard movie in the 70s kind of looked like, until Luke finally gets brought on board, and then you finally, 20 some odd minutes into the movie, have a character you can latch onto as like, oh, I understand this is something familiar to me. Last Jedi kind of did similar things. It's a very subversive film, and it made very definitive choices, and that's probably where some of the problem lay. You have Rogue One, which, again, caters to the fanboys. I happen to like that movie. You have Solo, which caters to the fanboys. I happen to not like that movie. All of these films have their defenders. All of them have their detractors. I think Rise of Skywalker is easily looked at as the worst, or one of the worst of the bunch of these, from both critics and audience standpoint. Some audiences liked it because it fixed their perceived problems with Episode 8. But I think a lot of people found it a kind of dud of a conclusion to a trilogy, and that made the whole trilogy kind of a purposeless mess. And that's because the studio and the minds behind the film really sat down and they listened to a sect of the audience that was very loud online. And because of that, we got a fan-dictated movie for the conclusion of this trilogy. Just as this is kind of like a fan-dictated movie for the conclusion of Zack Snyder's epic vision that started with Man of Steel and stuff. And I'm not going to say that Snyder isn't a visionary filmmaker. He very much is. I just don't. His vision isn't in alignment with where I think these characters should be. But when you have fans who are like, Superman was gonna come back in the black suit. That's why his casket was black and silver, and stuff like that. They put that onto the film, but Warner Brothers never. The rumor is that Warner Brothers never allowed for a black suit to be made. They were firm with the red and blue suit, but the fans say that there was always a picture of a black suited Superman and stuff. So then when this film comes around and it's the black suit Superman, that is definitely just the red and blue suit, just digitally changed to look black and silver. He's giving the audience what they want and or what they expect. This is where I have a problem. I don't think that general audiences should be dictating films. I think that true visionaries or true artistry comes from certainly a collaborative effort, and like the Marvel movies certainly give fans what they want, but I don't think they pander to fans, and I think this is pandering to fans, as is most of the Star Wars movies that have, and TV shows that have come out in the past 6 years now. So while I appreciate the effort that this movie took place and that these people can get the catharsis that they want, I do want to condemn it on some respect as well, because once you get one major high-profile movie doing this, because this is easily the highest-profile movie that's ever done this. When Richard Donner's Superman 2 came out in 2006, it didn't have the fanfare and the loud voice of the internet screaming behind it this whole way. You didn't get that with Godfather or the Alien 3 director's cut that people think is out there, but it's not. It's the producer's cut, whatever, the assembly cut. This is different because you have the filmmaker out there actively communicating with the fans constantly about this movie for years, and then finally the movement got it made and stuff like that. You're going to get many more arguments for anytime a movie doesn't live up to the expectation, which Justice League didn't for many people, the theatrical Justice League didn't for many people. You're going to get people clamoring for, oh, well, it was somebody's interference, so therefore we need the JJ cut of Rise of Skywalker, because even some of the JJ fanboys say that Kathleen Kennedy ruined that movie and the franchise and stuff like that, even though she's an incredibly accomplished producer who made many of their movies and produced many of the movies that they love and hold dear, such as the original Jurassic Park all those people who hate Kathleen Kennedy, I want you to look at her entire filmography as a producer and see how many amazing motion pictures she has done where she is helmed and had control on a producerial level like she does for these Star Wars movies. It breaks my mind. Anyway, that was a side thing. When Rise of Skywalker came out, people were saying, there's an Abrams cut out there. We should get the Abrams cut. There's a Lucas cut of the movie. We should get a Lucas cut, because Lucas was brought on board as a consultant, which was in fact just a conversation between these two filmmakers, and JJ has said that he threw out a lot of what that conversation was. We need the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, to which I say, do we? We like, anytime a movie doesn't live up to expectations, suddenly now we're gonna get a cut of it because there's a fan movement behind it, that there's always a perfect movie out there that somebody took control of and purposely, willfully destroyed that vision. And that's where I have a bit of a problem with this whole movement. That said, this is catharsis for them. The movie happened. This whole lead up to Injustice is not my bag. I think Injustice, well, it may be a fun game. It is not the definitive Superman story or the direction this series should have gone into, but it's been the one that he's wanted to tell clearly from the beginning. That's the only reason you make that Superman as dark as he is. This pillar of hope is on a hopeless journey. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the fan movement. Zack Snyder just likes to do things because they're cool. And this movie certainly has cool moments, but I don't think they're earned. There's so many problems with the way he approaches, and listen to Zack Snyder in interviews. He's kind of hilarious with how often he talks about why something's done. He's like, because it's cool. He drops cool quite a bit. And that's his whole aesthetic. He just wants cool or badass. And that's fine. He should have created his own team of heroes and done his version of the boys or something like that. Be original with it. Don't take these characters that it took 50 years before Frank Miller or somebody could write Batman the way he did as The Dark Knight Returns. It took 70 years to get to the point where Brian Azzarello wrote Superman the way that Snyder uses him in these films, where he's this pillar of faith who's lost faith in the people he's fighting for. And I think that's a problem. He jumps right into the end games of these characters without earning the story arc to get there. If you want to have Superman losing faith in his people, that's fine. You can make that movie, but make it movie number 5. Don't make it movie number 1 and 2. Same thing with Batman. Already active for 20 years, and we're just going to throw him into The Dark Knight Returns and Frank Miller's interpretation of that character. So anyway, I'm going to step off my soapbox now. This is Zack Snyder's movie. I really just despised it. The nightmare scene is completely purposeless and undercuts the entire core theme of the film, that Superman is this pillar of hope. Martian Manhunter was dumb. And I love that character, and it broke my heart. And I love Henry Lennox. I think he would make a wonderful Martian Manhunter, but that should have been the plan from the get-go. Anyway, I hope to be back here with reviews for my thoughts on the Oscars forthcoming, some of the nominations, and some of the ones that I think were skipped out on. I think in each category there was a really good candidate that got missed out, so I'd like to have that video forthcoming for you as well. The Oscar should-haves, or if I nominated the Oscars, coming forward hopefully later this week, early next week, and maybe a review for one of the Oscar-nominated titles, or maybe even all of them. Anyway, hope you are doing well yourself, and I hope you enjoyed the Snyder Cut. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Peace.